Watch this.
Idaho's Attorney General is doubling down on calling an inclusive poster political, writing a lot of words about everyone is welcome here, but once again, not answering any questions about it. They were told to watch history happen, but what they didn't see was the radioactive ash falling from the sky. We're diving into Idaho's downwinders and what the government is finally doing about it.
There it is.
Right there.
These guys do it really well.
Let's see, guys. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be hot this week, like really hot. And of course, beating the heat in Boise is a tale as old as time. And we've got your classic quick fix.
Well, of course you are. You're waving.
The "Everyone is Welcome Here" sign clearly falls within this prohibition by advancing political messaging. That's the opinion Idaho's Attorney General decided to share with Fox News this morning, that an Idaho teacher's message of inclusivity is illegal. It's Mr. Labrador's second opinion in almost as many months, with the first one coming in the form of guidance to the State Department of Education at the end of May, when the agency was trying to help school districts navigate a new law about posters and signs in classrooms. I'm guessing you felt the need to write this op-ed after the Boise School District said last week, we'll allow it. We'll allow the "Everyone is Welcome Here" sign to be put up in classrooms. This past session, Idaho passed House Bill 41 to, quote, ensure flags and banners displayed on public school property do not promote political, religious, or ideological viewpoints, end quote. Well, since the AG's opinion on the "Everyone is Welcome Here" poster became public a couple weeks ago, Labrador hasn't offered much to back up his claim that "Everyone is Welcome Here" is political. And he certainly hasn't agreed to answer any questions about this claim, completely ignoring several of our emails. This latest letter just reiterating the same talking points. So let's start with the first line. This spring, an Idaho teacher displayed a sign in her classroom that read, "Everyone is welcome here." Well, not exactly true. Sarah Inama's poster had been in her classroom for 4 years without any complaints. That is until this past February, when her principal at Lewis and Clark Middle School asked her to remove it, saying it was, quote, because not everyone believes that, end quote. The West Ada Middle School principal was just trying to be proactive, we're told, since the legislature was trying to pass House Bill 41 at the time. However, as Sarah told us, and as she's told anyone who asks her about it, she didn't buy the poster to promote a social or political movement. She bought the poster at a Michael's Arts and Crafts store, and she had it in her classroom since her first semester in 2021. She also says she didn't put it up to share her personal ideological beliefs. That sentiment just happens to match the foundation of public education, she said, of which she is a fundamental part. Oh, and it also matches the Civil Rights Act of 1964, prohibiting discrimination based on race, color, or national origin. Labrador went on to write, the rainbow colors and progressive symbols accompanying these messages make their political purpose unmistakable. So let's take a look at that. What rainbow colors do you see there? What progressive symbols are we looking at? The hands of various skin colors with the hearts in the palm? The part Sarah was told not everyone agrees with? And the part the school district admitted was the problem with the poster? The diversity of races shown on the poster, that's the problem. Okay, so what about the evidence to back up this argument, Labrador's argument? Other than an indoctrination map fueled by the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Labrador claims any and all of these inclusive posters were spawned as a political protest to President Donald Trump. Like in his opinion, he points to an "All Are Welcome Here" sign campaign that began in 2016 and says it was started by progressive activists in Minnesota. While that movement did begin shortly after President Trump was elected in 2016, it wasn't in response to the election. It was in response to what was written on the bathroom, on the walls and on the toilet paper dispenser, as you see, of a Maple Grove High School, a suburb of the Twin Cities, the day after the election. See that hashtag, go back to Africa, hashtag make America great again, hashtag whites only, hashtag white America, Trump train, that kind of stuff. Several other things we can't repeat on television. Well, a year later, our sister station in Minneapolis did a story on how many "All Are Welcome" signs were popping up around town and around the country.
All are welcome here.
Regardless of their race, their gender identity, their sexual preference.
The signs popping up near your corner
9 languages I think we have
now grown into a movement. With more than 11,000 signs across 40 states.
It just sort of exploded.
Behind those 4 powerful words, for friends. with a message of love.
We are all really trying to live the statement that we're putting out there.
Jonna Netlin Lover is one of 4 Twin Cities mothers with full-time jobs who literally put a stake in the ground when it comes to hate. Co-partner Jamie Chismar, a graphic designer, designed the logo after the high school in her hometown of Maple Grove was riddled with racist graffiti the day after the Trump election.
The kids and the principal there had such a great positive reaction to it. We were really inspired. We are helping people remind themselves of that call to positivity and that call to inclusivity every time they drive out of their driveway or every time they wear the button.
So if the movement is based on, well, not being racist, is that really, quote, political, religious, or ideological? Labrador then points to the nonprofit's mission as supporting, quote, a just, inclusive, and equitable environment, and the fact they donate to progressive causes like the ACLU. And here's the ACLU mission statement. Progressive causes, he calls them. Their own mission is to maintain and advance civil liberties, including like the First Amendment, due process, and equal protection of the laws. Real progressive stuff there. The ACLU, mind you, that's the group who fought for the teaching of evolution in schools in the Scopes trial, ending state-sponsored segregation in public schools in Brown versus the Board of Education, and students' ability to protest with black armbands in Tinker versus Des Moines. Labrador also claims because some political groups now sell products saying the same thing, that everyone is welcome here, well, therefore it must be political. But as we pointed out 2 weeks ago, the Idaho Democratic Party only started selling yard signs and stickers on March 25th. That'd be 2 weeks after Sarah's story went public. So does that mean all rainbows are off limits in public schools because they've been used by the LGBTQ plus community as a symbol of pride, diversity, and hope? So any kid that draws one in school, that won't be put up in that classroom? For very long anyway. Labrador also tried to make this a parental rights issue, saying the sign undermines parental authority over children's moral development. So we would love to hear from any parent with a kid currently in an Idaho public school who would find fault with an everyone is welcome here sign. We've got some questions, and you might have an explanation. But more importantly, we would love to hear from the Attorney General himself, who seems to have no problem taking the time to write an op-ed for Fox News, but just can't seem to find the time to sit down and answer direct questions from the local media, nor even answer our emails. But the invitation remains open, Mr. Labrador. Same with Representative Ted Hill from Eagle, who did email us a statement back today concurring with the Attorney General. But when asked if he had time to have a conversation about this topic on camera, just crickets. See, the problem is statements like this, they can't answer questions. And there are still so many when it comes to everyone is welcome here. All right, throughout the hundreds and hundreds of pages in the big policy bill that recently passed, which is now law, Idaho is mentioned specifically twice. And it's toward the very end. The last thing you'll find is a provision on the radiation exposure compensation matters, commonly called RECA. In the 1990s, the federal government admitted fault in the fallout of the Cold War in exposing Americans to dangerous radiation through nuclear testing. Idahoans have tried for decades to be officially recognized as downwinders, people exposed to nuclear radiation hundreds of miles away from test sites. Well, now for the first time, Idaho is included in RECA, which is a win, but only a partial one. As Joe Paris found out, advocates say there's still plenty of work to be done.
As a nuclear arms race heated up during the Cold War era, hundreds of miles away from test sites, Idahoans were unknowingly impacted.
Between 1951 and 1962, they were subjected to radioactive fallout from the Nevada test site from 100 above ground nuclear tests, at least 93 of them that blanketed Idaho with radioactive fallout.
Tona Henderson is director of Idaho Downwinders, a group that has advocated for years to get compensation from the federal government.
In July of 2004, so 21 years ago this month, I was made aware by my mother of some articles that were in the local paper of the Messenger Index, and it talked about how people were in Jim County were affected.
A sobering history lesson that matched hard-to-ignore facts.
That is why my family was so devastated with cancer and my community. And around here, we always knew there was cancer. If you didn't die from a traffic accident, you died from cancer.
But official recognition from the federal government did not include Idaho, as the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, RECA, rolled out in 1990. A 1997 National Cancer Institute study identified 4 Idaho counties, Gem, Blaine, Custer, and Lemhi, as being some of the most impacted areas for radioactive fallout levels. Still, Idaho was not included in RECA.
Back during the testing times, I was told by my father, after we had discovered this, that the government would put out radio announcements of be part of history, go out at this certain day and time and look toward the test site and be, you can see the test go off. And he said that you get up to the top of the foothills that surround Emmett and you could look toward the test site, which is 500 miles away, and you could see the colors of the test going off.
First-hand accounts are consistent. It wasn't just a visual in the distance.
Within a matter of hours or a matter of days, the valley would be blanketed in ash, and some of it sometimes looked like snow. And they knew what it was, but they didn't know there was any problems.
Idaho Senator Mike Crapo has worked for years to try and get impacted Idahoans recognized in RECA.
When this legislation made it through, it was a great relief. I've worked with the downwinders now for 20 years.
Finally, after decades of waiting and advocating, some recognition was signed into law back on the 4th of July.
It's been literally decades in coming. And now we're going to start solving something that the federal government should have solved long ago.
But it was a last-second save that ensured Idaho was a part of it.
We'd all been stripped out of the bill. And so I contacted our delegation in D.C., Senator Crapo, Senator Risch, and Congressman Fulcher, and pleaded with them to do whatever they could to get us back into the bill. And Senator Crapo was the one that got Idaho back in.
I just contacted our leadership and those senators from that committee and said, Idaho shouldn't have been left out of this. And they said, oh, you're right. And so it got put back in.
While eligible Idahoans can seek $100,000 in compensation, medical benefits to treat specific types of cancer were left out. It can be argued that medical coverage is more valuable than the financial component.
I think that the medical benefits should be there for those 19 types of cancer. People are losing, they not only lose their lives to cancer, but they lose their homes, they lose everything they have trying to stay alive.
A big thank you for never, never, never giving up. We fought and we fought and we fought, and they never quit. And so I just want to give them a thank you because it was their efforts that created the political momentum to get this issue bigger in other states and to broaden the base of support for it.
And to be clear, when we talk about the medical coverage, there are on-the-ground uranium workers that have been entitled to different medical benefits. And Brian, one thing, though, that they did want to highlight for downwinders is that there are screenings that they are now going to be eligible for to find out if they have some of those very specific cancers. So while they are hoping that there will be expansions in RECA for Idahoans in the near future, this is something that has been in the works for decades.
That's assuming their medical care covers those screenings, correct?
Correct. So the screenings are now going to be covered by anyone that is impacted as a RECA person.
Because about 20 years ago when we did this story, that was the problem, is that they weren't covered. There was a little sliver of window they could get in to kind of be a part of this. But if it was as simple as just making a phone call by Senator Crapo, why has it taken so long?
I think Senator Crapo is in a very good spot in this point in time to make that concession. He had worked with a man named Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri. Mm-hmm. This is a situation where over the years, budgetary problems had kind of pushed Idaho out of RECA. For whatever reason at this point, between the Idahoan downwinders and the influence that Idaho has in Congress, for whatever reason, it was finally able to get across the line this time.
Okay, well, I guess it was that simple. All right.
It was.
Thanks, Joe. Well, it seems we're getting our first test of Idaho's recent water mitigation plan because the dry spring and summer have left some farmers a bit short on that water. Idaho Department of Water Resources says there's now a 75,000 acre-foot water shortfall in the Snake River system this irrigation season, which is up from the April forecast of 63,000 acre-feet. For some perspective, 75,000 acre-feet is enough to fill more than 37,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So Idaho farmers get water based on senior and junior rights. Those who use canals, those are the surface water, they're the senior users, and they have first right to irrigation water. Those who use pumps get the water from the Snake River aquifer. They're on the junior side of things, and they have to curtail their usage late in the season if there was ever a shortfall. However, because of the new water agreement farmers settled last fall, Most groundwater users will not have to face curtailment this season to meet the demand of the surface water users. Only those who have not joined an approved mitigation plan will see their water usage squeeze. So it does look like it is working like it's supposed to. A child was hit by a stray bullet while riding in the back seat of a car on 94 over the weekend, and big changes could be coming to McCall's area of impact. Here's Abby Wilt with the 411.
A child was hit by a bullet while they were riding in the back seat of a car on I-84 in Elmore County over the weekend. The Elmore County Sheriff's Office says it happened Saturday. The Sheriff's Office says the bullet came through the front windshield and grazed the child in the back seat. The child was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. The Sheriff's Office was able to determine somebody was targeting shooting in the area and a wayward bullet hit the vehicle. The person responsible was charged, but the Sheriff's Office says the identities of everyone involved is not being released. A drastic change could be coming to the city of McCall over McCall's impact area. Valley County, which McCall is a part of, is proposing decreasing the impact area by 97%. It would go from 22,000 acres to just 680. The impact area is the area surrounding a city. Homeowners have to follow city rules and get benefits from the city without living in city limits, but the city is worried about future growth and safety.
If the rules that govern how people manage their homes around the lake that are outside city limits, if those are watered down, if they're eased, if setbacks from the lake are changed, we feel there's going to be things damaging to the lake's health and then ultimately to our drinking water.
Some homeowners disagree, saying they side with the county. They don't trust McCall with their land. Boise Fire is investigating the case of a roof collapse in a drive-thru at an Idaho Central credit union. The Boise Fire Department says crews were dispatched to reports of the collapse around 1:30 yesterday to the ICCU branch on West Ustick. Boise Fire says nobody was hurt and they don't know what caused the collapse. A fisherman just hooked his way into the record books. Last month, a fisherman reeled in a 42-inch lake trout on Payette Lake, just barely beating the previous record set in 2018. Idaho Fish and Game says the catch solidifies Payette Lake as a legitimate place to catch trophy fish. And that's the 411. I'm Abby Wilt.
It is a blazing hot opening to the work week. We're in the triple digits across most of the Treasure Valley right now. Boise sitting at 99 degrees. We are in the 90s over in the Magic Valley as well. Cooler conditions are on the way starting tomorrow. We have a cold front draped across northern Washington right now that will continue sliding to the south overnight tonight. Ahead of that system, we do have a couple of isolated storms firing off in far southern Idaho. Biggest threat from those storms is lightning and gusty winds, so fire danger remains critical in the coming days. As this is a dry cold front, it will not bring any precipitation, but it does bring a break from the triple-digit heat. Still warm tomorrow morning, low 70s by 8 o'clock, but we'll land at 93 degrees in Boise. No triple-digit readings tomorrow, in the mid-90s across the Snake Plain. Comfy in the mountains, mid to upper 80s. Little bit cooler still on Wednesday. We'll see some smoke starting to trickle in as well, so a hazy horizon is possible in the next couple of days. The heat is back on, though, by Thursday. We're pushing 100 degrees again heading into the weekend.
Yeah, as you saw, that near triple digits heading our way. It's consistently hot for this time of year. Not out of the ordinary, of course, but also like clockwork. You'll find our area waterways a bit busier this time of year. And should you choose to dust off the boat and drag it over to a lake, well, you won't be alone in that either. You'll be part of a long tradition of soaking up the sun here in southern Idaho. Here's John Miller with today's 208 Redial.
Do you know the lingo of the lake? Ahoy, aloha, peace. The hey, how you doing wave. The dad's trying to drown me, but I'm waving anyway wave. The wave that bounces by at about 40 miles per hour. A little hard to see, but it's always there.
There it is.
Right there.
These guys do it really well.
Let's see, guys. Yeah.
It's a boating thing.
It's a boating thing?
Oh, it's just a friendly thing to do, don't you think?
Steve Russell is the long arm of the lake.
I like that.
He's waved at all of them.
What is it about the waving? Nobody in cars waves at each other.
Maybe because boaters are just happier down here than up there.
I get a lot of people waving at me. I don't know if they're being friendly or if they're just happy people. I don't know.
Even when Steve's gonna bust them, hey, thumbs up.
How are you today? You guys gotta keep that ski flag up all the time.
They're the kind that wave and tell you how they're doing before you even ask.
How you doing? How's it going? Good, we're having a great time.
So are they. How's it going? Good to see you.
We're not going to be on TV or anything, are we?
Well, of course you are. You waved, didn't you?
Have a good day, ladies.
It's hard not to have a good day after all.
Boating is awesome. Idaho is cool.
And life is great when you're making waves. John Miller, Idaho's News Channel 7.
Probably a little too close. Those fishermen there speeding by pretty quickly. A reminder, though, we have 2 extra hours of Wake Up Idaho coming your way, live streaming weekdays from 5 a.m. now till 9 a.m. Join us on KTVB Plus for even more headlines. You get your weather and even traffic. To watch KTVB Plus, just download it on your TV, I should say, and you can watch for free. We'll be right back. All right, we got an interesting comment from Donna who says, maybe they don't answer you about the everyone's welcome because, well, we're so tired of hearing about it. I've never heard of a kid not being able to go to school because he wasn't welcome. Get a life and talk about something else. Maybe you haven't been following all of the lawsuits that are facing the West Ada School District because of rampant racism that is being claimed all across the school district. Maybe you could read up on those stories and tell me about people not feeling welcome, including kids being pulled out of school because they face that kind of stuff. Maybe Mr. Labrador would tell us who exactly is not welcome here. Well, he wouldn't say that everyone is not welcome. That's the point. That's not the point. But just says we don't need a sign to tell students that everybody is welcome. But we'd love to ask him all kinds of questions, Tina, and maybe someday we will. As someone who went to that middle school, we never had a problem with the principal, so they must have gotten a new one. Teachers used to have signs posted everywhere saying everyone is welcome. It used to be supportive. I wonder what's changed. We'll see you tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.